Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about Colossus and my first impressions on the character, and I also want to talk about the new faction battle because it does a lot right, it does a couple things wrong, and a lot of people have been asking me questions and are generally quite confused. So I wanted to break it down, give you all of the information you need to know, what you need to do, and then what you should be doing if you want to build your Colossus, how you should approach that, and then if you should invest in him at all, depending on what kind of character you are looking for, because he's definitely not for everyone. He's not like an all-purpose general type character like Angel would be, or some other kind of handyman, do-it-all character. First of all, though, I want to get the faction battle out of the way. I think it's great that Netmarble responded so quickly to my harassing tweets and decided to put the faction battle into the game. Question mark, where is the event battle? It's gone. It's never coming back. Rip Luna Snow Bios, rip X23 Bios. But we do have the faction battle for now. It's on for the next 8 or so days, and it's the Terrigen War. It's the Inhumans on the left, and it's the X-Men on the right, if you can't tell by the icons. Unfortunately, some things that they did wrong is failing to edit or change the text. So it's not supposed to be pro-registration and anti-registration. There's no registration, Netmarble. If you've read any of the comics, or if you've even just gone on Wikipedia or called someone like Bill Roseman over a bowl of ramen on your phones and asked him to explain what happens in IVX, Inhumans versus X-Men. It's got to do with the Terrigen Mist, so it's more like keep the Terrigen Mist or destroy the Terrigen Mist. There's tons of ways you can refer to it and kind of reference the material, but pro and anti-registration is definitely not one of them. So obviously someone was just too lazy or inexperienced, junior developer, to fix this. However, they did do some things extremely well. They've actually changed the rewards, which was the thing that I hinted at that I wanted them to do after the third sneak peek. So whether they did this in response to my video, whether they just were planning to do this all along, who knows? I don't really care. But on top of the regular MVP rewards, which by the way only goes to one person in the entire game, it goes to the winning faction, and it goes to the person on the winning faction who has the highest score. So right now, if my side, the better side, the X-Men side, were to win, this guy with the Green Goblin icon at the top there would get the 3,000 crystals. So if you're not him, don't worry, you're never going to get these rewards. Don't cry. But the rewards you will get are on the reward list, so check that out. And this will answer the questions, why am I getting so many Colossus bios in my inbox? Because you're just playing the game. Every time you accrue a certain number of participation points, you unlock 10 Colossus bios, which is awesome. Thanks, Netmarble. In total, you'll be able to collect 90 Colossus bios from the participation rewards. Then you'll get 40 if we lose, if your faction loses, and 60 if your faction wins. So it's a grand total of 130 for losers, or 150 for the winners. Yes. You do not get the participation rewards more than once per day. It doesn't refresh, so you don't have to worry about that. And it doesn't matter what side you choose. You don't get Inhumans bios. If you go to the Inhumans, you still get Colossus bios. So that is kind of the answer. You also get some energy and some XP chips, which is pretty nice. But it's cool because otherwise Colossus is only obtainable through the X-Men gene selector, which you have to purchase with real money. You cannot use the X gene selector from the store that you can purchase with crystals. I believe it's actually also purchased with money. But anyways, even if they were selling the X gene bio selector, Colossus is not on this list, as you can see here. So this is basically a premium character a la Spider-Man 2099, Magic, X23, not X23, Luna Snow, something like that. That's how you get his bios, and you get his bios by contributing enough points. The points are all the way up to 250 participations, and that you get by just doing things in the game. Unfortunately, they never thought to add some of the new game modes that they created since they created the faction battle. Again, the inexperienced junior developer who's working on this game, because he took a break from Lineage 2, forgot to add in Legendary Battle to this list. So unfortunately, we don't get any faction points for playing Legendary Battle. Another reason to skip it. But anyways, I digress. And then they have some cursory information that they decided to put in, which is cool if you want to learn about the actual drama and the kind of intrigue, and if you want to learn more about, kind of the history from the comics. So that is all well and good, and that will get you kind of a 4 or 5 star, I think it's 4-star Colossus if you just use those bios and you rank him up normally. Honestly, that's not how I would recommend you do that. I would recommend getting his bios and then hopefully pairing that with either a mega rank up ticket that you can purchase for crystals. They have one on sale in the store now, or with smaller individual rank up tickets that you can save from, you know, login events or maintenance rewards that Netmarble has given. That's honestly my advice for you, because when all is said and done, Colossus will be, and he will turn into a premium character, so there will be no other way to get his bios other than paying money. However, what are you going to get from Colossus if you purchase him? So my initial impressions of the character, at least at tier 1, are that he's not very strong offensively. He is pretty decent defensively, and he has very low skill cooldown on his skills, so you can spam them in a pretty nice loop. He's okay for Shadowland, but I think he's definitely going to fall below your expectations if you expect him to be as strong as Magic, Emma Frost, or Angel. I think he's probably, at tier 1, the weakest of the 4. I don't know how much he jumps up at tier 2. I can't obviously speak to that because I don't have him there yet, but I do want to give you my impressions of him at tier 1, because even with the 150 bios that you would get from winning the faction battle, that won't be enough to tier 2 him, even if you use a mega rank up ticket, because you have to use all his gears up to 20. There's no way you're going to get lucky enough to do that in 150 bios, and then even then you'd need a tier 2 ticket, but it's not happening basically for, you know, the majority, 99.9% of players. So I think having him at tier 1 does make sense to give a first impression for the average player who's just going to be collecting his battles from the faction battle. I would say a pretty good estimation of his strength is a better version of Luke Cage, and you may not have Luke Cage at tier 2, or you may not know or kind of care too much about his power level, but he's a very defensive character. He's good at Reflect, which he already has at tier 1, but his damage is just not there. And I think that Colossus' damage is actually better than Luke Cage's, which is kind of sad. At tier 1, he already outclasses a tier 2 character, but it still falls short of what you would expect. The only saving grace is that his 4th skill is on an 11-second cooldown, which drops to 5.5 seconds when you have 50%, and then his 5th skill is only on a 13-second cooldown, which drops to 6.5 seconds. So 6.5 seconds here with a 3-second stun and the penetration chance and the ignore dodge, sorry, plus the 4 seconds of immunity on a 5.5 second cooldown with the iframe on his 5th skill means that you can basically juggle yourself between the 5th skill and the 4th skill with just a small gap in between, and you can basically just ignore 1, 2, and 3. And it's actually really good that you ignore these skills besides the 3rd skill. Just cast that and cancel it, because his 1st and 2nd skill are just really bad. The animations are slow, the damage is super low. I'm seeing hits of less than 10,000 each from both of these skills, which is abysmal. That's like Ronin numbers in terms of how powerful the damage is. So you really just want to use 3 immediately for the buff, and that's basically it. I mean, you can even skip the buff because it's the all defense buff, and if you're playing Shadowland, you can really just rotate through 5 and 4, and you'll have the enemy completely perma-stunned, and you'll be either iframing or immune for the entire duration. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. But that's basically his only saving grace to make up for the fact that his damage is so poor. Now, keep in mind that he does get a pretty sizable physical attack boost at tier 2. He jumps up by more than 2,000 physical attack, which is a pretty sizable amount. But I'm just not sure if that's going to be enough to really push him to where he can respectably deal with things on his own. He may end up being a defensive pylon like Destroyer, where he threatens teams that use Wolverine, threatens teams that use Quicksilver because of the fact that he has the Reflect, because of the fact that he passes on the decreased Reflect to his teammates, and he takes less damage from supervillains, although both Wolverine and Quicksilver, two of the best physical damage dealing characters in the game, are both heroes. So I'm not really sure who this is made to counter. It would kind of counter Apocalypse, at least just on his 5th skill. Luke Cage already does that. He can one-shot Apocalypse with his Reflect at tier 2, and nobody uses Luke Cage. I mean, very few people use Apocalypse for PvP as it is, So if that is Colossus's only value right now, it's kind of disappointing. Perhaps we're going to see more of a strength or physical meta later on with future characters, maybe Deadpool, maybe a change to Cable with his uniform, perhaps Juggernaut or another mutant or X-Men type character. I know he's not a mutant, relax. But right now, I do have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with the overall value of Colossus. One of the only other things that I do want to touch on, I know you'll see it in the gameplay, is his 5th skill. It has kind of a hidden CC effect where it really just pulls in enemies, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out in something like Alliance Conquest or Alliance Tournament, because it has a really profound effect in Shadowland, and it has just a drastic impact on what the characters do. Now, keep in mind, I'm not showing you the damage numbers here because Colossus cannot complete this stage. It's a tier 2 stage. All the enemies are tier 2. Colossus is tier 1, so it's just it's not going to work out for him. He might actually get one-shotted by Cyclops here, which I'm a tiny bit worried about. But if he doesn't get one-shotted by Colossus, or if Colossus doesn't get one-shot by Cyclops, you'll see basically what I'm talking about in terms of the crowd control. I'm just going to throw in, I don't have Groot, I already used him. I'm just going to throw in some people to hopefully heal Colossus so that he doesn't die instantaneously. I can't think of anybody else that drops heals for the team. I guess that would help with the recovery rate. But anyways, I just want to show you what happens and how you can basically infinitely loop more or less his 5th and his 4th skill. And I also want you to see the crowd control on his 5th skill, because it's pretty wild, and it looks like it could be a pretty annoying skill if he manages to get it off in quick succession. So I got crowd controlled actually at first, but you can see there he just sucks in Beast, and you can just rotate through and now cast the 5th skill again, and you'll see here that Rogue, you'll basically, what happens when they get hit is they basically just become ragdolls. Rogue and Cyclops, it's almost like the character disappears or turns into just a shell, and they just spin around for the duration of Colossus' 5th skill. It's pretty satisfying, but it also looks like it could be pretty frustrating to play against if you're doing something where you can't control your characters, like Conquest or Alliance Tournament. Is it good for Colossus? Yes. Is it a fun way to lose? Probably not. But let's continue so you can see the rotation that he can continue to go through with basically just 5 and 4. And so as soon as 5 ends, you can go right into 4. There's a tiny gap, and you go right back into 5. You can see Cyclops there just turns into a giant ragdoll, go right back into 4. Just keep doing that, and okay, he canceled me out with an iframe, but I can just wait, do the 4th skill again. You can splash in the 3rd skill if you want, and then you go right back in, ragdoll Cyclops again, throw the big rock at him, spin again, and in just about a second, with immunity up, you ragdoll again, and you can see that now they both got sucked into it, and you can basically just do this endlessly. And I did this on different Shadowland stages with great effect. I only got through that stage because of Angel and Anti-Venom's damage, but I'm just gonna run around here so I can hopefully get them. It's a bit chaotic, this stage actually, but you can see there I pulled both Storm and Wolverine into that kind of chaotic storm. It's almost like Quicksilver's 5th skill, dare I say, except he's in the middle of the storm. And I just worry a little bit about this skill just kind of being a hazard and being something that frustrates players the way that Quicksilver's 5th skill does. We're going to have to see how it plays out in high-level PvP content, but just wanted to put that out for you guys. If you're expecting colossal things from this character straight out of the gate, right out of tier 1, you may be a bit disappointed. I had high hopes for him because of how amazing Angel was, Emma Frost, and now Magic, and I will have a Magic first impression video up for you guys tomorrow, because I can't wait to share all the stuff that I've been doing with this character, because I think she's fantastic, like Angel. But yeah, I was just a little bit let down by his strength, but I am holding out for tier 2. I definitely don't want to make my final decision until he's tier 2, because he has the potential, because he's Colossus, and because he's Colossus. So let me know what you guys think of the faction battle. Let me know what you think of Colossus and what your plans are for the character in terms of building him or not, or saving his bios or something like that. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.